Okay, we have two more functions, short functions, that we have to do, and then we'll be done. So, let's see, here's a function mentioned earlier that determines how many units of a particular book are left, right? So remember, we've talked about this already many times. How many units are left? So how's he going to get that? Well, first of all, he's going to define a function. He's going to use the keyword function, the keyword called keyword or reserved word. And this one is only going to take one input, and it's going to be called sheet name. Doesn't matter what it's called, but that's what it's called. And it is, though, important that it's a string. Okay, now what does this mean? So the input variable is sheet name, and it's a string. But what does this mean? It means that what? That the output of this is going to be a long, or in other words, basically an integer, but can be bigger than the limitations of an integer. Okay, the name of the query sheet is passed as sheet name to the function. So that means whatever we put into here is going to be, we're going to refer to it as sheet name within the within the function, within the definition of the function. The function returns a value of the long integer type. Okay, we said that. Okay, now continuing the coding. dim found string as string. Okay, so this is a variable that's inside the function. By the way, that's another concept that we talk about in programming. This variable is defined within this function, right? Let's just check this. What's this function called? GetUnitsLeft. So here it is. This variable is defined within this function. So if you try to refer to this variable, suppose you go back to GetNewData, and you, what was the name of that? Found string. Okay. If you try to refer to GetNewData, does GetNewData have anything called found string? No. So if you try and refer to it anyway, in here, it's going to be an error. It doesn't know what this is. Even if this GetNewData calls that function, calls that GetUnitsLeft function, doesn't matter. It still doesn't know what that variable is. That variable is kind of locked inside of GetUnitsLeft because it's defined in there. We say that the scope of that variable is only within GetUnitsLeft. Okay, anyway, that's just another concept. So anyway, we're defining this variable here. What else do we do? Here's one. Looks familiar, right? Another one looks familiar, but they're not the same ones. Okay, GetUnitsLeft starts out as -1. What does this mean? He didn't define any. I don't see a variable called GetUnitsLeft. How come he's assigning that -1? The same thing as we said in just the earlier video. That's the name of this function, and so what we're saying is the output will be -1 sort of by default, because we're defining it to be -1 up here. He's probably going to change it down here, like here. But if something happens and there's an error, this definition won't apply, and so it will be defined as -1. Now I remember we saw that -1 before, and it was a little bit puzzling. Why was it -1? We saw that several videos ago. And now we see why. GetUnitsLeft is set to be -1 sort of by default, but it's only by default. Then it's going to change probably. Okay, so that's done. Then sheet name active. So sheet name is what? This is the variable that gets input. So the user puts in a sheet name, and then that this sheet name variable, like the user puts in stats or something, and then this variable becomes stats, and then so this becomes stats. So in other words, whatever they put in here, now this activates that sheet. Okay, now we have on error, go to no data. Where's no data? Here. And then we have this on error, resume next. So that basically means leave this function. So, but anyway, let's continue. So on error, go here, but if there's no error, then what's this? I think we've seen this before. This is the code for finding something on the spreadsheet. And what are we looking for? Left in stock. Okay, so suppose we can't find left in stock, then that would be an error. And then we would go here. And the value would be here. So this prevents, you know, the whole program from crashing, because if there is an error, we're saying what to do. So it doesn't have to crash. So it goes to here and does this. Okay? Okay, anyway, here we're looking for that left in stock. And activate that cell. Then if we find it, and then take the active cell and put it in here, found string, which is a string. And then do this kind of start position, right? Found string, find only, stop position, start position +4, found string, in, GetUnitsLeft equals, that's this, GetUnitsLeft equals this. So if we can get the units left, we're going to put it in here. Okay? Alright, I'll stop here and then let's go through his discussion of this, but basically we've just done it.